You won't find Willie Nelson quoting scripture on stage. You won't hear him preaching from a pulpit. You'll never see him at a megachurch or a political rally, claiming some kind of divine favor. But make no mistake, Willie Nelson is a deeply spiritual man, just not in the way most of us are taught to expect. His faith isn't loud, it isn't rigid, doesn't come with a long list of rules and regulations. It comes from silence. It comes from music. It comes from walking barefoot on the soil of his Texas ranch as the sun rises. He once put it plainly, "I don't go to church much, but I am religious. I believe in God. Just think He's everywhere." And that right there is the heart of Willie's spirituality. It's not about religion, it's about connection. He grew up in the Methodist Church in Abbott, Texas, singing hymns while his beloved sister Bobby played the piano and his grandmother led the family in prayer. Those early years left a permanent mark not in doctrine, but in feeling. The sense that something greater exists, that love is real. That we're all part of the same grand, beautiful, and sometimes messy story. But life, as it does, tested that belief. He faced years of hardship, the devastating loss of loved ones, struggles with addiction, and moments when fame felt more like a prison than a gift of freedom. Through it all, Willie didn't turn away from spirit, he turned deeper into it. And he found it in the most unexpected places. He found it in a jazz chord that suddenly brought him a sense of peace. He found it in a sunrise painting the sky over the Rio Grande. He found it in the quiet, steady breath of a sleeping dog curled up at his feet. He doesn't talk about heaven like some distant place with pearly gates and streets of gold. He talks about it like a feeling you can access right here, right now. If you've ever been in love, he said, you've already been to heaven. That's the core of his worldview. Spirit isn't separate from life. It is life. He's often described his famous guitar, Trigger, as sacred. Not because it's a celebrity artifact, but because it's been with him through prayer, sorrow, joy, and confession. It's more than wood and strings. It's a spiritual tool. When he plays, he says, "I'm talking to God." And when he stops, God starts talking back. That's not a metaphor to Willie. That's a real, tangible experience. Music, to him, is a form of worship, whether it's a gospel hymn he learned as a boy, a complex blues riff, or a classic country ballad about heartbreak. Because every honest song, every raw emotion poured into a melody carries a piece of the truth. And truth, for Willie, is divine. He's also drawn to Eastern philosophy. He's read the Tao Te Ching and appreciates Buddhist ideas about detachment and mindfulness. He's a firm believer in karma not as some cosmic punishment, but as simple balance. What goes around comes around, he says often. And he's lived it. He's the first to admit he's made mistakes, hurt people, and lost his way more than once. But he's also given millions to farmers, veterans, and children in need through farm aid and other efforts. He's fought for justice and loved openly. And he believes the universe takes notice. Not with judgment, but with return. What you put out, you get back. Willie doesn't fear death. In fact, he speaks about it with a kind of gentle, peaceful curiosity. He's joked about being rolled up and smoked when he's gone. He's laughed about finally joining the stars. But underneath all that classic Willie humor is a genuine peace. He once said, "When you die, you don't go anywhere. You just become everything." To Willie, death isn't an end, it's a return. A return to the earth, to the air, to the energy that's always been moving through us. He sees himself as part of a cycle born from the soil, living on the land, and one day, feeding it again. That's why he cares so deeply about sustainable farming, hemp, and protecting the environment. It's not just politics for him, it's reverence. He put it perfectly. The best thing we can do for God is take care of His creation. Perhaps the clearest expression of his faith came during a simple, powerful moment in 2020. At the height of the pandemic, when the world was locked down, anxious, and afraid, Willie stepped outside his home in Texas with a camera rolling. He sat in his chair, trigger in hand, his dogs at his feet. And he just played Amazing Grace. There was no announcement, no promotion. Just 7 minutes of pure, quiet devotion offered up to the world. Millions watched it online. People wrote that they cried. Veterans said it brought them a moment of peace they desperately needed. Grieving families said it felt like a blessing. And Willie didn't say a single word before or after. He didn't need to. The music was the message. And that's how Willie worships, in stillness, in song, in acts of kindness without fanfare. He doesn't claim to have all the answers. When asked about God, he'll say something like, "I don't know what God looks like, but I know what God feels like. And I feel Him when I'm playing music, when I'm with my family, when I'm alone in the woods." He also believes deeply in forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. He's been brutally honest about his flaws, his past drinking, his failures as a husband, his moments of selfishness. But he doesn't live in a state of guilt. He believes we're all just trying. We all fall short. And the only way forward is to keep loving, keep creating, keep showing up for each other and for ourselves. There's a line in his song, "I Am Still Not Dead," that says, "I've made a few mistakes. Yeah, I've taken a few falls, but I'm still not dead, and I'm still not sorry." That's not arrogance. That's acceptance. It's the sound of a man who knows he's flawed, knows he's blessed, and chooses every single day to keep going gently, gratefully, and honestly. Willie Nelson's faith isn't loud, doesn't demand your attention. But if you listen closely in his music, in his words, in the quiet way he lives his life, you can hear it. It's a quiet hum of gratitude, a deep respect for life in all its forms, and a steadfast belief that in the end, love is the only thing that truly lasts. Tomorrow, we'll shift tone and celebrate something fun, bold, and unforgettable. Willie's iconic look, the braids, the bandana, the sunglasses, and the signature style that defied Nashville and inspired generations. This is Willie Nelson Daily. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the channel.